Shalom, shalom. This is Kapaya, aka Pops, out of GMS Chicago, with another sit down. Excuse me. Before I get started, though, like always, I want to send all praises, honor, and glory out to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kodash. To the apostles and elders of GMS out of New York, I want to send double honors because they do rule well. To the brethren around the world, pushing this truth uncut, unfiltered, giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly of the scriptures, correctly dividing the prophecies, and the outcome on the people on the planet. I send salutations. For the hopefully elect, I hope this is edifying. For the Akwaf, the few and true, they're still listening. As I said in charity, keep doing so. But for the scoffers, the reprobate, 2/3 Israelites in the 17 other nations, it's closer than what you think. Okay. This, as you can look at and see. Okay, so like I was saying, we are catch wind of something, go do some research, check it out, run it up against scriptures, make sure that it fits certain prophecies and these types of things, and then step out there, and do what we're supposed to do, whether you're here or forbear. Okay? So whether you hear it and it goes into your spirit and you understand it and it brings you to the truth, or whether you brush it off and we just some stark raving lunatics, whether we be on YouTube or we out in the street preaching this, entirely up to you. Like I said, Yahweh Bashem Shai is the controller of that. People already been ordained to be who they are and do what they do. But anyway, Elder Malcolm in our camp here in Chicago was the one that really started pushing this at first. The first one I had actually seen. Maybe I'm not as up on as I need to be, but I remember when he started telling us this and bringing it out, and then we started doing the research on it ourselves a few years back, that you all, that Uncle E basically, label other nations as Edomites. And he's went as far as to say Middle Easterns and even some Africans. And not just say Africans because that's the continent that y'all are used to, because there's 50 countries in Africa and this, that, and the other. You got Gabonese and Nigerians and this, that, and the other, and so on and so on, and Sudanese and all these. So, for you to just look at the whole continent of Africa and think they all one collective people is ludicrous in itself. But anyway, with that being said, we said that, but when they come over here, they get labeled white. What is that? Because they dying off. And here, as of late, it's because, Elder Malcolm had been saying because they dying off, which the numbers back that up. The women done waited too late to try to reproduce. Their womb is polluted from all this birth control and all this other stuff since they was 12, 13, 14 years old, plumb up until in their 40s and whatnot. And so now, they have to resort to intravenous insemination and all kinds of other things, just trying to get pregnant. Anyway, so what do? To try to keep their numbers pumped up, they label Middle Eastern and North African identities as white. Okay? And we told you this. And if y'all thought we was lying, I'm going to let this play, and you go hear a lady that's in Congress that is Middle Eastern say just that. Then I'm going to put some scriptures on it. Okay?
But something I'm particularly concerned about is the lack of representation on the forum of people who look like me. Starting in 2015, a research effort spanned years under the previous administration, led by the Office of Management and Budget, by community organizations like Access and the Arab American Institute and many others, which pushed to add the new category to the 2020 survey called Middle Eastern North African, or what we call MENA. In 2015, Director, the category went into the field for testing, and based on the findings, the Census Bureau recommended the inclusion of MENA category in the 2020 census. Despite these findings, however, the Census Bureau announced under the current administration that MENA category would not be included in the census.
Okay, so the MENA category would not be included in the census. But what did Trump say when he took over this country? He said that he, as part of his campaign, he'll make America great again. And like I said, you know, when I first heard it, first time I ever heard it, I was like, make it great for who? It wasn't great for the so-called Negro, who y'all want to call African American now. Like I said, because I had Negro on my birth certificate. Like I said, when I had to get it, to get my, to go and get a Social Security card, I want to say probably in the early 80s, right before I got ready to go into the military. It had Negro on it. My birth certificate literally had Negro on it. Didn't have African American, and it had Negro on it. Okay? So, Malcolm brought it out, and then we did the research on it as well, because we always do that, you know. Sooner or later, somehow or another, we come across stuff. A brother will bring it out, and then, you know, it'll start coming into the fold as far as the different publications, different news outlets and things of this nature will start catching wind of it and whatnot. And then we'll go in and look at other research and stuff like that, and boom, there it is. So this is what she said, okay, that they get classified. And when he said Middle Eastern and things like that, like I said, I work in a extremely diversified environment, extremely diversified. So, you know, I see some of these people coming in here from the Middle East that are darker than me, and I'm a pretty dark brother. Okay, I'm a pretty dark-skinned brother. I'm a fairly dark-skinned brother. Okay, don't want to say pretty because I don't want nobody to think that, but I'm fairly dark-skinned brother. And boom, and they get classified as white on the census. Here's one of the reasons why they do that, but this is Esau trying to pump his numbers up as well. But scripture I'm gonna put on that is this. I'm gonna put a scripture in here. I done talked, so I'm gonna put a scripture on it. Let me pull that here, pull it down, go get a scripture, then come back to it. Micah 2:2. And they covered fields and take them by violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Okay? Really talking about the so-called Israelite, whether or not he be the so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American. But this being his MO, he's doing it to Middle Easterns now. They used to be able to come over here and get all kinds of loans and stuff in the very beginning. You know, that's how you had so many Arab stores and stuff in the neighborhood, even to this day, because they can come in here and get loans and this, that, and the other and whatnot. But now she's talking about, well, why we can't get counted, okay? Because they weren't meant for that. They was told that they was actually designed, and the system was designed, this draconian law and draconian policy when it comes to the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American, which is the Israelites, to be set up to hold us down at all costs. And we don't care who we got to give and what we got to give to the other people to keep you down. But now that it's out and we know who we are, they're not cutting them numbers no more. They're not trying to flip that like that on that level anymore. That's why you're going to start seeing a lot of these Arabs returning to their own land here, okay? But let me let this, okay. But see, they took our heritage. They just trying to keep them people out of the numbers crunch. Let me go back to this.
Dr. Dillingham, do I look white to you?
Congresswoman, I think that if you tell me what you identify with, and I think I would respect that.
Sure. So, Dr. Director, are you aware that people like me who are Arab, Middle Eastern, North African have to indicate that they're white on the U.S. Census?
Congresswoman, we actually have on the...
They have to indicate they're white. They have to indicate they're white. The same way an Israelite have to indicate that he's so-called black or African American. They've got the other category on it, but they're not going to recognize it, okay? And that's what she's going to go into. But like I said, we were stripped of our heritage pursuant to Jeremiah 17:4, okay? But now, let's listen to what she's saying here.
And I understand, that there was a process in deciding, certainly before I got to the census, and there's a history to coming up with the questions and the race and the ethnicity categories, and that OMB...
No, they ignored it. Director, they ignored it. The previous administration decided to put me on the form. They ignored it. But do you think if I circled white category, that would be an accurate depiction of my racial and ethnic background?
Congresswoman, we do not second guess what you put down.
Okay.
There.
Well,
and we do have a write-in. We do have a write-in.
Director, you're not giving me an option, because let me tell you, there's a reason why the recommendation happened. Yeah. Because what's circling white on the census changed my lived experience as a person of color in our country. Right? Even saying that, you understand there's a difference when you actually have the checkoff box.
Census data helps allocate more than $675 billion in federal funding. Okay? So, these people was walking around here talking about reparations and all this other kind of shit and whatnot. Look at the amount of numbers of money that they're talking about. And if they pump themselves to be the bigger populace in America, they get the bigger cut of it. Okay? And here's the funny thing. The cut will go to them, but they won't really get it. Like I said, because when we stand out there talking and breaking stuff down, it's the elites that's getting these things and kickbacks and rollovers and capital gain, hiding slots and things of this nature, okay? Whereas, Joe Sixpack, all he had at one point in time was the white privilege. Now, don't get me wrong, there was redlining and all kinds of other stuff that came along long before we got to the point that we at now. And this Edomite, especially after World War II, had a great heads up. Again, the first heads up or a helping hand was when you had the West Coast Rush, where they was giving out lots of land for free. You just had to stake a claim on it, as they had took it from the so-called North American Indian and whatnot, which would be the tribes of Gad and Reuben, okay? And then the rush down there in the Western, when they went through the French Revolution down there in the South and took that land, okay, from the so-called Latinos that was down through there, and the whole deal. See what I'm saying? You had the conquistadors and that whole thing. It was all kinds of wars that occurred on this land, but they were small revolutions. Nobody really invaded them and did that, once it became a true powerhouse. So let's let this play.
Because the MENA community, like others, relies on accurate census representation for health research, Director,
Certainly.
Language assistant, civil rights laws, and reporting educational outcomes. In addition, it would help address things like...
Did she say civil rights laws? See what I'm saying? So, see, in a place called America, where people think that there should be civil rights and people should have rights, we did this dance back in the 60s. And guess what? They showed us then, the way they showing now, that there is no civil rights. This is set up as a prison camp and they locking it down now. Okay, this is a prison camp, and for the people that had a chance or a liberty to be able to get a little bit of something in the process of, oh, that done changed now. They locking it down now. And they getting ready to show, as we like to say out there in the street, you know, he showed you the little horns and whatnot, but they ain't showed you the Longhorns yet. He's getting ready to turn into the Texas Longhorns and show you his real horns and what he think about everybody that's outside of that 1% as far as the elite banking families and they billionaire peons that they control. Okay?
Crime reporting, Director. Helping minority business owners get loans and drawing congressional and state.
Minority business owner get loans? You think she's talking about the so-called Negro, the Latino, or the Native American? No, she's talking about them Arabs, the Middle Easterners. They come over here. That's what she's talking about. That's what she talk about. Hey, what was the name of the place? Mina? Okay. Middle Eastern, North African. One then include the so-called Negro, okay, or the so-called Native, or the so-called Latino. Didn't include them, okay. So that's what she's talking about. She's trying to look out for her own, okay.
Legislative boundaries. So, Director, do you believe it is important to better collect racial and race information from census participants of Middle Eastern and North African descent?
Congresswoman,
Do you believe that, though?
I can say that by having the write-in provision, that is the
Sir,
option.
it doesn't have the same impact, and you know that. You know that.
No.
That's why the community pushed to add the category of MENA, and they did it right. They went through the process, and they got it approved. And this administration decided to ignore them and to make them invisible again, right?
Okay. Oh, so she crying the blues about being invisible here in America. Let's pull up a couple scriptures here, right here at this point. Let me go to Job. Job 20 and 29. This is the portion of a wicked man from the Most High, and the heritage appointed unto him by. Okay, excuse me. This is the portion of a wicked man appointed from God, but that's actually the Elohim. Okay. And the heritage appointed unto him by. See that God too? See, now that's a different one. H410. Go to number D. First of all, it ain't Jehovah, but the one true power, Yahweh. Okay? You say Jehovah, but that's Yahweh. Okay? Origin shortened from what? See? And then you try to go a little deeper and whatnot, and it jumps all over, try to jump all over the place. But okay. Boom. So let's go here. This is the portion of a wicked man. So this man was set up to be this. He was meant to be this wicked. He was meant to be the deceiver, a liar and a deceiver and a murderer. He was all this thing as Cain, came back through the bloodline of Esau, and has been on the planet in that reddish pinkish skin ever since. Okay, he hasn't changed. But what's appointed to him is also his destruction. Okay, his destruction. We're gonna go back here. Let some more of this play through.
That's what you're doing. You're making us invisible. No, the continued absence of this ethnic category contributes to erasing us.
Erasing. I've got to get the scripture. Erasing us. erasing us. So see, these curses now that was on us is starting to fall on the other nations. Esau still at the top of the food chain with the elite banking families. So the curses that the Lord said that he was going to put on us is passing to them now. And thou, even thyself, shalt continue from thine heritage that I gave thee. I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Now, when this first started kicking in, we knew who we were. How? You can see that in the movie Roots, or the TV program Roots. He knew his name was Kunta, or I should say they gave him the name Kunta, okay? Hebrew, should have been a Hebrew name, Kunta Kinte, or whatever it might have been. But they beat it out of him, made him learn that he was Toby, was what it was. Okay, see what I'm saying? The whole deal. So now, them first Israelites, Southern Kingdom, which is the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, when they first came over here, they knew who they were. So this woman here knows who she is. She knows her heritage and these types of things. But she's saying here in America, you're trying to erase us. Well, here in America, they erased us. How? They turned us into a byword. Let me go and get that. That's So you see, like I said, they haven't forgotten their heritage, but you see what's happening under Esau's rulership. They coming over here and thinking that, the American dream is alive and well, and thinking that they should be able to get part of the pie. But you see, they haven't forgot their heritage the way Kunta hadn't forgot theirs. But what's happening? And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. See, they becoming a byword. But see, the byword for them is Edomite. They want them to check off as white, want them to check off as being part of their class and whatnot. But you see, their class don't have the benefits except for what used to be white privilege and whatnot. But like I said, these Joe Sixpacks not getting it. And these people, even though the numbers will be this, the money will get redistributed in such a way that they wouldn't even see it. And when you look at them, they're not Caucasian. They're not Esau Edom. Okay, so they're going to be double dipped out of the equation. Okay, and that's what she's upset about. She knows that they're going to get double dipped. That's why she said it isn't enough for it to be able to be a write-in. Okay, you know how that goes. A write-in is still a second class, and they don't want to be a second class citizen. Well, welcome to our world. Like I said, these curses pass from us. It's passing from us to you now, and now you see what it feels like. That's why the lady said, who would want to be who want to stand up and be a so-called Negro in America. When she did her experiment, and nobody stood up. Nobody wanted to take on that challenge. See what I'm saying? Nobody wanted to take up on that challenge. What was what it was. Period. Simple as that. Okay, let me make sure I got all these. Okay, let me see. Okay. Let me double check, see if it's rolling. Yeah, I think it's rolling. Let me double. I can't even see the number without my glasses. Okay, it's rolling. Salakia. Okay, let me go back to these scriptures. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go back to this thing and let Esau fall on his own sword some more.
Proved, and this administration decided to ignore them and to make them invisible again, right? That's what you're doing. You're making us invisible. No, the continued absence of this ethnic category contributes to erasing us.
They're not erasing you, sweetheart. They're making you a byword, okay? They gonna know you there the same way they know we here, okay? But unlike us, so after X amount of years and whatnot of this, we don't even remember who we were. You still remember who you are, but like I said, but you won't be part of the counted equation, period.
We all live and work and raise our families here. I truly believe this issue needs to be addressed, and we need your leadership to push back against this current administration's lack of wanting to see people like me being represented on an official government federal forum that decides around funding, decides how they're going to treat us, how they're going to approach health research, linguist assistance, all those kinds of things. And I mean, Director, we need to get it right because I'm not white. I'm not. And I don't just, try to say to others that you should be this or that. But when I sit on this forum and I look at it, I don't see myself represented on this forum.
And what are we always saying, in sit downs and standing out there? We don't have our land. We don't have a spot in the United Nations. We don't have any of those things. Okay? She's got a spot in the United Nations, in the Middle East, and this, that, and the other. Okay, they have a spot in those things. We don't have that. So we have been erased as far as Esau was concerned. Okay? But guess what? Starting back in the mid-'60s, we started waking up out of it now. So now we done created such a ruckus and that standing out there with this aggressive street preaching that, now they coming after our videos and shutting them down like 40 going north. Okay? But let's get back to this, let it go.
And I think that's a huge issue for people like me. Yeah. And I need you to do more in pushing back against this current administration, ignoring what the previous administration was able to do. And the U.S. Census Bureau decided to add MENA, and they ignored it.
Congresswoman, I can assure you that we continue to study race and ethnicity and the options for self-reporting that.
Director?
And let me just say that
but we've been studied enough.
We want your views, and we're beginning the process of looking at the 2030 census.
It's too late.
He's looking at the 2030 census? The 2030 census. Let me go to this scripture real quick. See? So this is... Okay, so this cat just said 2030 and whatnot. But like I said, let me go to the scripture and pull this up. Because you see, he's trying to see if he can get 10 more years with nobody losing their mind and whatnot. With everything going the way it is, why would he even think that he's got 10 more years on the board? Why would he even want to think that? Okay? There's a reason why this man, this wickedness thinks that he got 10 more years on it. Uh, 49 more. Nope, that's not it. Hold on. It's got to be in here. 11. 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all the generations. They call their lands after their own names. So they think America Vespucci and Scipio Africanus, not Scipio Africanus, Scipio, hold on. It's America Vespucci, and America was named after America Vespucci. So they think America Vespucci is good, or the land of America is going to continue forever. Okay, I was thinking of African America. That's why I'm used to putting it together, like that, Salakia. But yeah, so see, their inward thought is that their house is going to continue forever. So he think he got 10 more years to be able to do the whitewashing and keep telling the lies. That's the same thing they had these 2/3 sellouts even back in the 60s singing, "We shall overcome someday." Yeah, well, we on the verge of overcoming, but guess what? It ain't gonna be a peaceful movement. It ain't gonna be a docile. It's not gonna be none of that. Yahweh Shai said, "Think not I come to send peace on if I come not to send peace but a sword." So all this peace that this guy think he's looking for, that's going out the window. Bruh, that's going out the window. So let's go back over here to this.
late because for 10 years, we will be invisible to health research, to a number of things, small business loans. We will be invisible for another decade in our country.
Thank you. Well, welcome to our world, baby. We are invisible. You know, redlining, interest rates, this type of thing. You know, percentage rates as far as points and whatnot. When it came to how many points you had to pay on a piece of property, all that stuff. All that stuff was lopsided against us, the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American here in America. So see, these people recognize it. Well, when we recognized it and this type of thing and stood up, what they do? They pacified them with government jobs and all kinds of other shit, and then did the 2-for-1 and put the in the late 60s and early 70s, and then put the 2-for-1 on us and turned our women against us at the same time. How? Because when they pulled the government jobs, they say, okay, well, we can kill two birds with one stone. We give this woman a job and turn her against our people, turn her against our men, because she's got a job and they don't, and this, that, and the other, and this will make her look down on our man. And they did just that, okay? So now that this shit's starting to hit the fan and whatnot, our women want to look at us and want to know why when the motherfucker twist them up. So like the scripture says, she's going to be trodden down like the mire of the streets, okay? Like I said, she didn't hold us down, or whatever the case might be, which was part of the curses, that they was going to look evil upon us and that type of thing. So Micah 7 and 10 says that, okay? That's it. So that's how that's going to happen. So, you know, let's go back over here and hear what the rest of this has got to say. I'm going to put these last couple scriptures on it now and wrap it up.
Thank you, IU.
Hold on, back up a little bit, let it come through.
Congressman, I can assure you that we continue to study race and ethnicity and the options for self-reporting that.
Director?
And let me just say that
But we've been studied enough.
We want your views, and we're beginning the process of looking at the 2030 census.
It's too late. It's too late because for 10 years, we will be invisible to health research, to a number of things, small business loans. We will be invisible for another decade in our country. And I think it's wrong. And
see, but they was getting the small business loans. How you think like I said, how you think the Arabs got all them different little corner stores and all this other kind of stuff, or all the gas stations and all that other stuff? They was giving that. Why? Because it was set up against us. But now that we done woke up and whatnot, it doesn't matter anymore now. So they just go pull it back from everybody. So let me put these last couple of scriptures on and call it a day. Let me put this Galatians on. Galatians 4:16. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? So to the women, have I become your enemy because we told you the truth? We told you that y'all went for the okey doke? No. Have we become we don't become the whole world's enemy as far as they're concerned? Why? Because we tell them that this Edomite rule is going down the tubes and whatnot, and everybody don't want to believe it. But like this, it says, in the day of thy power, the people are going to be willing. Okay? But as my brother Uriah said in his sit down, in the day of our power, y'all gonna be willing, but it's gonna be too late. So with that, I want to send all praises, honor, and glory out to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekakodash, to the apostles and elders of GMS out of New York. Again, I send double honors because they do real well. Brethren around the world pushing this truth, uncut, unfiltered, giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly of these scriptures. I send salutations. Hopefully, I hope that's edifying for the Akwaf, the few, and the true. Keep doing so, but for the scorn and scoff, for reprobate, 2/3 Israelites, 17 other nations, you can almost get ready to stick a fork in it. It's done.